Good evening. My name is Troy Sigert. I'm a senior at Metropolitan State University. This is a video for my ICS382 class entitled Computer Security. It's being recorded in April 2017. A disclaimer. This is an informational video being created solely for one of my classes at Metropolitan State. This topic has been approved by my professor, and while I have and can demonstrate skills required to create an attack of this type, this video is strictly for the purposes of education, that education being my own, and is not really intended to be used as a how-to video by an attacker or on a corporate system or someone else's system. This is theoretical. This is a demonstration of something. This is not training on how to be a jerk. That being said, it could happen that someone uses this knowledge and information for ill, and I don't want anything to do with that. This is a requirement for a class. I'm going to show and demonstrate an attack methodology, and if nothing else, maybe IT professionals and information security professionals in their workplace may take note of this and take the steps I'm recommending to safeguard against it at the end. I'll also point out that the system that this is being demonstrated on is not a server OS. It's a server OS, if best practices are being followed, is going to be hardened in ways that this particular OS is not. But the ideas remain the same. This same attack could go wipe out user files, for example, as opposed to killing an OS, which is what I'll be doing. There are things that you'll bump into if you try to kill a server in this way, but somebody with enough time, patience, research, enough access that they shouldn't have, and a lack of accountability, those things will allow them to overcome this type of attack. So my point here is that you as an admin should not depend solely on antivirus and anti-malware software, even good stuff, even stuff with the best heuristics and tracking available. It's not going to help you necessarily in this case. You need to look at things with an audit sheet in hand, and you need to look at them yourself with the checklist, an audit list, and in a change log. So, and at the end of the day, keep this video out of the reach of children. Don't try this at home or in your place of employment. And if you do, you'll likely be caught. And like I said, I don't want anything to do with it. So, this attack and methodology that we're going to be discussing are called a logic bomb, as is the title of the video. It's outlined in the textbook that I studied this quarter called Elementary Information Security, 2nd edition by Richard E. Smith, Chapter 13, Section 13.1.2, entitled Enterprise Risks. Prior to this class, I was still going to do this video. We actually had to come up with video ideas early on in the class. But through the course of study this quarter, I found that this is actually a thing called logic bombs. Logic bombs, according to the text and my research, are attacks implemented by employees at an organization that take effect unless the employee deactivates them on a regular basis. So the bomb triggers if the employee is fired, for example, or not present to deactivate it. For fans of the Splinter Cell games by Ubisoft, this is a Pandora Tomorrow scenario. Basically, in that game, the enemy protagonist would call someone, a mysterious person, and say Pandora tomorrow if he was safe and sound in his bunker. And if ever that call didn't go through, then whatever Pandora was going to happen. And that's kind of the basis of that game. But I digress. Same idea. Logic bomb attacks are different from a lot of other cyber attacks in that they don't have to be compiled and run in an executable code format. That's no good, since they would potentially be picked up by an AV scan if you were trying to do it that way. Like if you just hid some malware somewhere on a server, it would probably be picked up. Even if you did things like rename it or change this extension, the pattern files and the scanning that occurs these days, in addition to real-time scanning, would pick it up. Unless you were the guy that configured the antivirus software and told it not to scan that folder. So we're kind of circling back to access, accountability, things like that. So, that being said, the logic bomb method explored here today are going to be bombs that can be destructed on the system that they will attack well in advance. And defending against them, like I said, is a matter of permissions, accountability, and auditing. So in this scenario, we're going to have an elevated command prompt left carelessly open by Bob, the admin. Or maybe it's Bob that's doing it, and he's pissed at his employer. Maybe he didn't get that raise, or he feels threatened, or who knows. People do strange things. This doesn't take very long, as you'll see in the demonstration. The execution of the logic bomb does take a while, and normally that would happen late at night when nobody's around to stop it. But as you'll see in this video, this attack takes a few minutes to go and assassinate all the files involved. So in this video, I'm going to discuss the tools involved, and the attack technique of a logic bomb. And again, we're not moving any malicious code around. We're making it right there on the server. The way I'm going to do that, the tools that we'll demonstrate here are, number one, a batch file. A batch file is a script. Some people call it batch programming. It's not really a program per se. It's a script. It's a series of commands that are executed very, very quickly by the computer and automatically done. There are some ways that the modern operating systems are going to try to stop you from making one, but as long as you have the right access, you can. And again, in this scenario, either Bob's doing it or Bob left an unguarded session running, or somebody shoulder surfed his password, and somebody has access they shouldn't. It may or may not be Bob's fault entirely. The other thing we'll do, so in addition to a batch script, we'll also show briefly the Windows Task Scheduler that would be used to execute this in the middle of the night, sometime 6 months from now, unless you deactivate it or move that timeout. And it's going to leverage a tool already installed on most modern operating systems these days called robocopy. You could also use deletion commands, but if somebody's searching for a deletion, that's the easy way to do it. If somebody's searching for a deletion command, they can find it if they're scanning through a whole bunch of batch files, for example. So, I hope to equip the viewer with an ability to check a system and kind of learn to read batch scripts and see what they're doing and not be afraid of them. A lot of places, there'll be some guy, an older guy like myself with the gray hair, right, who really knows batch, because that's what we had back in 1990. Or earlier, actually. It's probably more like 1980 something. But the point is, this has been around a long time. It can be very complicated and daunting looking. It's not that bad. And I think a well-equipped information technology person or security person should have a working knowledge of batch, VB, PowerShell, a bunch of different common things that you could whip up on a computer. You should be able to tell what they do. JavaScript, there's a bunch of things. But they're all scripts. And none of this involves a compiler. None of this involves an executable file, things like that. So first, let's talk about the basics of batch scripting. And like I said, a batch file, it's a series of commands as if run from the keyboard that executes very quickly and in sequence. There is some logic that you can build into them. There are certain things you can do. But what I guess I'd like to do is show you a simple batch file. This is actually one that I use day to day. I'm going to pop it open here and put it on the screen. Oh. Good old Notepad wants to update. Imagine that. I am patched for the the Vault 7 vulnerability, but it always wants to patch. So here's a batch file. What we've got here, now Notepad++ is nice because it color codes things for you. It knows that by the nature of this file, schoolmirror.bat, and I'll actually enlarge this a little bit as we go through it. That's pretty good. I color codes things for you. First line here, line 1, the @ symbol means that when this file, or when this file runs, it's going to run this command, but it's not going to echo it to the screen. All of this section then from here on down will just be run silently. All you'll see is, nothing, unless there's an error message or something like that, or another echo command like you see here in line 11. This is these two dots, that means rem, or remark. You could also change it to say rem, like I did down here in line 20. And So basically, this is just a little header I put in. This